Well, that settles it. I'm never taking a cab again. So Chained. So Chained is a movie from. So Chained is a low budget thriller horror movie about a guy who drives a cab and he kidnaps a woman and son, kills the mom, and makes the son his son for the next 9 years, trying to teach him how to be a monster like him. It's basically about a monster raising a monster. This has Vincent, the something I can't say his last name of, but he's in a lot of movies. Most notably, not Saving Private Ryan. I always want to say that. Full Metal Jacket, Private Pile, and all kinds of stuff. He was the professor in Sinister and Jurassic World, all kinds of stuff. And it was nice to see him play a villain. So I guess that will bring me into my positives is that actor. I really liked what he did with this character. He made like this accent. It's a weird accent. I couldn't really pinpoint it. At first I thought he was Russian, but it's some kind of weird New York accent, I'm guessing, because there is New York license plates, so I guess this is New York, but not New York City, because this guy lives out in the middle of nowhere. But I really like what he brought to this role. He's very intimidating, especially if you're a 9-year-old kid. Like, there's no way you can fight back against this guy. He weighs a lot. He's very tall. He would be a very hard guy to take out. So I really like his performance in this movie as the psychopath, and I really just think this concept is terrifying. Like, especially just the opening when you're in a cab and you're in the back seat. Like, your life is in their hands. That person could be a psychopath. They could be anybody. So just thinking about that really fucks with your mind when you put yourself in their shoes. He can just lock the doors. You're just screwed. And and then even getting past that, like thinking about how real this is, like this really happens once in a while. You'll hear a story about some person being kidnapped and they were in a basement for 10 years. This is really just a character study of these people and what they go through. It shows you the life of someone who's kidnapped, and sometimes they get brainwashed even. I've like the Poughkeepsie tapes. If you've seen that movie, some people say it's real, but it's not. In that movie, like the person gets brainwashed into like loving and worshiping their captor. In this one, it doesn't really go that route. He's trying to break through and trying to make him like worship him and see him as a father figure and join the dark side, so to speak, and start killing and raping like him. But it's just a very interesting like study of those people and how quick and easy it is to like break them mentally and like make them your bitch. He gives him a little pet name, Rabbit, and it's just very interesting. And it's just disturbing. Like this has a very consistent, disturbing tone, very disturbing throughout. Just the themes of it and what's going on and how they don't really shy away. They show you him like bathing him. He has to feed him and like eat the scraps that are left. He can only eat when given permission. It's just a miserable experience. You just feel like you're a captive person yourself. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck in this horrible mess with this character because it's just following him the whole time, and it's a terrifying situation. Yeah, I like that this movie had a twist. They could have just went, you know, a typical route that, because this movie can go one of two ways, but they went the one way, but then they added a twist also that makes you want to go watch the beginning. And when you do, you hear a couple of little hints that actually foreshadow things to come. As for any like negatives for this movie, it's disturbing on a level where it's like not rewatchable. Like this isn't a movie that you want to rewatch. It's gritty, it's ugly looking, the film, it's just very nasty and just not an experience that you want to have again and again. It's not rewatchable. And I will say that the killer in this movie, the bad guy, Vincent's character, I don't even think they say his name ever. But his backstory, it's generic. It's just the typical bad guy backstory. He's fucked up because of X, Y, and Z, things that happen in his history, abusive dad, blah, blah, blah. So it's nothing new there. I didn't find his character to be interesting at all. It was just typical fucked up bad guy who's doing bad things because of bad things that happen to him. And I will say there's probably some slight pacing issues. Could have been tightened up a little bit. This runs at about like an hour and 40 minutes. And I will say that there's one scene towards the end, there's a struggle, and it's very poorly shot to where you don't even know what the hell's happening. And then once it's over, you're like, oh, I guess that happened.
Rabbit. How long have you been here? Since I was 9.
So final thoughts, this was an okay movie. I didn't hate myself watching it. There was just some slight pacing issues. There was a neat twist at the end that at least saved the film somewhat for me. But it's just not a very rewatchable movie. It's not easy to digest. It's very disturbing and just not one that I will ever want to revisit again. But if you're into like kidnapping movies like this and you like thrillers, I recommend giving it a watch. It's free on Tubi. So when it comes to Chained, check this one out if you want on Tubi, streaming it, or renting it at Redbox. Alright, I guess I'll do a spoiler discussion. There's not too much to talk about, but I'll try. Because this is a Patreon request by Royce Bunn. I forgot to say that at the very beginning. Shit. I guess I'll put it right here. Thank you, Royce. So, that's 2 movies in a row by this guy that involve kidnapping. I did The Loved Ones, or The Lovely Ones, whatever that was, the prom night movie, which I really liked. That one's rewatchable, and I highly recommend checking that one out. And then this one, another kidnapping movie, except this one's way darker. Not that the other one wasn't dark, but it was more fun, more digestible than this. So this movie opens up with a guy, Vincent. He's kidnapping a woman, he brings her in. The kid's like counting the seconds, so there's like a 10-second rule. He's got to open up the door in 10 seconds, or he's gonna get his ass beat. Then it flashes back like 3 months, or 8 weeks, so 2 months, and his mom, and his dad are getting dropped off at the movie theater, and he's gonna go to summer camp and whatnot. And then he's like, take the cab, don't take the bus. He's like adamant on it, like, don't take the bus. But that was their mistake. They should have taken the bus. And then, they watch a horror movie, so I find that kind of ironic a little bit, that the last movie this kid ever saw was a horror movie, and then right after that, the rest of his life was a horror movie. And so we get the crazy cab guy. I don't know his name. I never heard it, so let's just call him Tommy. Tommy kidnaps them, and just a terrifying situation to put yourself in, locking the doors, there's no way out. I feel like they could have tried harder to escape. They never try hitting the windows or anything, banging on them, kicking at them. Like, they could have fought harder, not harder. And I could say that for this kid, even as he's getting older, they never show him fighting back a lot. Maybe because as he got older, the damage was done. He was brainwashed into serving this asshole. He tries to escape like once in this movie at the beginning, and then once at the very end. So and then he pisses himself, which is what I would do if I was a 9-year-old kid and I saw my mom get dragged away. And he tries to escape, and he's on the roof, and he's just throwing all these rocks at him, like, I'll give you a head start. He's just playing games with this kid. That's disturbed fellow, and he's got all these rocks. Where are all these rocks coming from? And then it shows a little bit of his history. He picks up this abusive dad telling his son what a piece of shit he is, and it's just really, you would say all that with a cab driver listening. This dad has no boundaries. He's just whatever, everyone can listen to my drama. And he's slapping the kid in the back seat, and it's giving Tommy PTSD, and we get to see that Tommy's dad was abusive as well. And then even later on, they expand upon that, and we find out that the reason why he's so fucked up is because he was forced to fuck his own mom. The dad was upset that his son was making more money than him. Oh, you're the breadwinner, huh? So you think you're bigger and badder than me? Well, then go fuck your mom. It's okay. And then you even see this other kid too, but you don't really think about it until the twist at the end, that it's the other kid's dad. So I did not see that coming. And then he gives him all these books about anatomy. He's study it, you need to know. And then that actually comes into play later on. It's smart. When he goes to stab Angie, he knows where to stab her because of all these books he's been told to study. So I like how that actually came into play later on. And the teddy bear that's recording everything, that actually comes into play too. He doesn't even know about it, I guess. I thought he would have, but he didn't. Because then towards the end, when Tommy's like, let's go watch your first, kill, he's like, oh shit, you were recording that? Oh fuck. So I'm not sure why he didn't know that he was recording all his victims. He should have known that. But yeah, so they set up all the rules like your name's Rabbit, you're gonna feed me, you're gonna make me breakfast, and you can only eat when I leave you. You can only watch TV when I say blah blah blah. And he has to like wash him. Disgusting. And we get this like throwing knife kill. This chick almost escapes, but he throws a knife at her, kills her. And then they have this really fucked up memorizing game where their idea of a card game is they take all the licenses from the victims and they say a name and the other person has to guess like all the information on that license, like the weight, the eye color, their address, their everything. Just absolutely it's like that's messed up. Like I said, this movie gets kind of disturbing, especially when you see him trying to, being forced to fuck his own mom in that flashback. And then this drunk girl they pick up, it's just so dumb. Like she's so drunk she doesn't see that the situation she's gotten herself in, like the guy who's clearly chained in that room that she walks in. Like when you walk in that room, you're like, yep, this is a death dungeon. And she just doesn't even realize it until her throat just gets slit. That's a pretty cool effect. It took me by surprise, just how quick it happened. Pretty cool kill. There's not really a lot of gore in this movie, but it's not a slasher movie, so it's not gonna have like a high body count and gore. Although there is a high body count, we just don't really get to see it. And it's easy to get away with murder, I guess, if you live in the middle of nowhere and you're a cab driver. And then we find out that the chain's not even locked. Like the chain that's been around him, like probably for months or years. All you had to do was like press on it and it like unlocked. It's like, ugh. Kind of reminded me of that movie, like No One Lives, with Luke Evans, where this chick was in the room and by the end of it, she found out that the room wasn't even locked. She could have just walked out. She was like, oh, fuck, I'm so stupid. But that's the lesson. Like, he's trying to teach him. Like, you don't be a quitter. Follow through. You gotta keep going. Keep pushing. It's like, you got to try at least. This guy's not trying. He's a pussy because he's been beaten into one. Like, he even, like, goes to, like, bite him, Tommy, on the throat when he's sleeping on the couch. Like, this guy's had multiple opportunities to kill him, but he's such a pussy. He's like trying to like bite his throat, but then he like quits. It's like you could have ate his jugular. It's like really, come on. And then it took him 9 years to ask him the $1,000,000 question: Why? Why do you do this? And he never really gives us a explanation at all. He's just like, well, because. And so then there another messed up scene. He gives him the yearbook. He's like, pick my next victim. And he stabs the one person, and he actually goes and get that person, Angie, I think. And when he thinks that he, fucked and killed Angie, he's so proud of his son, quote unquote son, that he goes and gets him a graduation gift, and his gift is a chair, a more comfortable chair to sit next to him in front of their very old TV. Like this is modern day, but everything he has is like 1950s. Like the TV, very old looking. It's just he lives like a very old lifestyle. His house and everything just not modern at all. He has no phone either, which is smart if you're gonna have a bunch of victims that you're taking home. If they get away, they can call the cops real quick. So I get that. That makes sense. And he, after he, kills Angie, he comes out. He's like, I want to hunt, trying to convince him that he's on his side now. But we know that's bullshit. And they're like driving around, and then we find out that he didn't kill Angie, and then he like wrote in blood or something on the side of the cab, like help. Very smart. I didn't see that coming at all. So because it makes you like think like, has he changed? Like, is he a killer now? Like, has he successfully raised a monster too to be like him? Nope. He wrote help on the side, but no cop ever saw it. So unfortunate. And then Tommy finds out that Angie is indeed still alive, so he's gonna go rape and kill her himself. But he doesn't succeed. There's like the struggle, and that's the part that I said was like poorly shot earlier. Like you can't tell what the hell's going on. It's like, did he stab her? What the hell's going on? But he breaks in, stabs him right in the freaking throat. He knows where to stab. Kills him finally. And then he goes to confront his dad. He finds his like a letter at the house that was from his dad. So his dad knew where he was these last 9 years, got remarried, had another son. It's just like, what? Like, this blew me away. This is the twist. Like, he finds his dad. He's like, I always wanted a puppy because he has a puppy now. And he kills his real dad. He killed his captive dad, his captor dad, Tommy, and he kills his real dad, who was a psychopath all along. He's like going to rape his wife, like right in that moment. Like his cover's blown, so now he's just like letting his inner evil self out, start slapping his new wife around. Like he's gonna like, was he always like that? Obviously not. So she's like, what trick? I guess seeing his son triggered him to like let his real self out. Like where was that in the other marriage too? Like I guess this brother, like he's the brother by the way, of Tommy. That was the other part of that twist, that he hired this cab driver who was his brother to kidnap his wife and son because he didn't want them no more. But then he just replaces them with a new wife and son. Like I don't know, like that's kind of odd. I guess they were just too much. He didn't want them, but then he just did it again. I don't know. Was he gonna eventually hire his brother to do the same thing again? Kill them too? I mean, he replaces his wife with a much richer wife. Like before, he was just a blue-collar worker, working 6 days a week with a toolbox. Now he's in a big-ass house. He has a Porsche outside, so I guess he's a gold digger. And that guy is the Dawn of the Dead guy. I'm not sure what his name is, but yeah, I recognized him. And then, like, we get all these little hints that were, like, foreshadowed at the beginning. Like, he says the same thing that, Tommy's character says throughout the movie a couple of times. Like, in one ear, out the window. And I didn't even catch it. It's just very small. You forget about it. And then even the wife kind of foreshadows it when she's like, ooh, you're sexy when you make secret plans. And he's got a secret plan, all right, to send your ass away. So yeah, great twist. Decent movie. Not too rewatchable. So what are your thoughts on Chained? Have you seen this movie yet? I hope so. If you're listening still, I just gave away the big twist. Put your thoughts of it in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you like what you see, you hit this like button. You can become a Patreon for as little as $1 a month to request movie reviews like this one. And become a subscriber today if you haven't done so already, just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.